Hey, YouTube subscribers, how you doing? This is Keem Harp. I'm back again, and I have to talk about something that may interfere with your mindset. Probably, you never know, but there's gonna be something that people use in terms and oh, we're xenophobic, this and that. But let me tell you something real quick, and let me share with you something. And I'm gonna use an example first. There was a Mexican boy that was at my son's job, which you all know my son's black, flipping a coin. He said if the coin land on the heads, Mexican are better than black people. I was like, wow. And somehow he would always make this coin land on his head. And he's going around doing that and offending black people because he think he can. But for the record, I want to share with you guys, whether you're Mexican or black, or any group if that's sake, never try to compare a Mexican to a black person towards the sin of slavery inside the society because you've already lost the argument. You cannot compare the two because, first of all, we as black people have done things that Mexicans don't even have a knowledge of, but they're experiencing and reaping the benefit. They don't understand, who they are even. So how you as a Mexican who don't even know who you are going to tell me anything, first and foremost? Because first of all, you are linked to a coward way of exchanging. We as black people built the first world nation blood sacrifice and gave, as we were the apparatus, we are the apparatus of wealth to the first world nation and was and is, to a place where you jumping fences to get here, to experience an established society that you know nothing about the history of, and then uses a talking point that is demising to the people who support your idea of exchange. And I wish black people stop doing that. You're also talking against the people who fought for laws for you when you were crying and being sent home when you didn't have SB 54 or the green light and all this, and having forming groups under us and our groups inside our black caucus and using stuff like that and forming basically when you were making sanctuary cities, black people, our politicians were standing with you, leaders in the black community and politicians that work for the state legislator that are black people was putting you guys first, which is a self-demise to us, and which stands that we have no self-preservation because we don't know anything about you. And you're here for cheaper labor for white people who are holding capital. Now it's not that. Now you're here to exploit and to have a better life. But see, let me give you an example. When we were growing up, my grandmother always made us eat what was at our table. We didn't get to go to Miss Sally's house because she had steak. We had to stay at home and eat our soup. And if we wanted steak, we had to go to work for it or make it happen for us, not go someone else's established home and get something better because we didn't like what we had. That's what Mexicans are doing. And that's cowards. You didn't stand in the street and go to bat for your own society like we did. We are the morality of government. We have changed laws here inside our country, fighting civil rights, Jim Crow, and so forth in terms of getting laws changed, slave descendants. You don't even know who they are. We have icons in terms of this world being such, in this society being what it is. So you cannot even closely compare the two. We're not thieves. We're not running inside of someone else's country to emulate or to misrepresent ourselves and get fake social security numbers and working and taking advantage of parroting organizations of someone else's society and their system and tax dollars. And you're born and having children on someone else's laws, constitutional rights. The 14th and 15th Amendment do not belong to immigrants illegally. That belong to descendants of slaves and freed slaves, and you exploiting our laws. So these little boy that was doing this don't even know who he is. He think he's somebody great because everybody in his group is working doing construction sites. Some of them even got gas stations and grocery stores because they are working and doing things or building, he don't even realize that the origin of your country is not here, and the origin of your people have told you that you are freed and that you made it somewhere, but you came to an established society that was done and groomed by black people. And you're trying to emulate us even in our talking points and using trying to become a rapper, a football player, or going to HBCUs, patterning yourself out off the opportunity of descendants of slaves. And now you're saying to someone else who is a part of my blood lineage and legacy that if you're going to flip a coin and see who's better, because now you're exchanging illegally in our society, not by yourself, but by also black politicians who stood with you in terms of this exchange, while white capital holders get cheaper labor. And that they got you there because also you don't complain. Is what a guy that I was around, he make $10 million every 2 weeks off the fact that he got big business. And he say he hires nothing but Mexicans because they don't talk back and they don't complain. Of course you wouldn't, because you in the shadows, you in someone else's nation. Why would you? You're skating by. The origin of who you are is totally different from who we are. Totally different. You're not even to compare that. You don't even know who we are, and you don't even know who you are. Now, some of you may do, but your kids don't know who you are. You think you're Americans, and you're really not. You come into someone else's society and using loopholes to take it over. That's infiltrating the government, and you're being saved by people that is from our government society. You got people that is parroting our organization all inside the Congressional Black Caucus talking when it does not belong to them. Historically, these things were designed for black people, the American Negro, not you. And this is where the controversy is at. And it's not about being xenophobic. When you come to someone else's house and you stealing and taking advantage of something that you have been allowed to do by a constituent inside the home, or by a person inside the home with power. And that's who white capital is in terms of big government, Democrat Party, or whoever else. Now, this is who you are. You are a thief, and you don't realize you have adopted the legacy of being a coward and a thief. And I'm talking about politically, because you have a home in society and you have lost the idea of protecting that, of giving your home in terms of what it deserves. You want to run away from it, jump a fence, and come to an established society done by black people and emulate who black people are, and then offend black people, and then be catapulted above black people by the traitors inside our society. That's what you're doing. And we also saved you. If it wasn't for us, you wouldn't be here. First of all, I hate to even say that because I don't see why black people do that. We need to actually stop doing that because we don't know nothing about you and you don't know nothing about us. So saying the president is a racist because he want to get rid of Mexicans or someone else is very unastute of black people. He may be a racist. Any white person can be a racist, because racism is not about a person. It's how which you are anchored according to what you can access to harm someone else from another group. And white people can do that in terms of them holding capital and wealth in their communities as an anchoring throughout slavery, and slaves never being corrected inside this first world nation. So Mexicans are here, and other groups as well, saying stuff about black people and calling it black and brown. You guys leech on to us so that you can prevail inside someone else's country of origin. You're not in your own home country. You left it. You abandoned it. That's a coward. For someone to leave their house and to go to someone else's house and start bringing plants in or TVs and saying, now I made it pretty, or maybe doing a new floor in it or something. You're coming in somebody's back door saying you have another name, stealing social security numbers. You don't compare yourself to me at all. That's offensive. I'm not running to Guatemala to name myself Pedro, and I'm not running to Guatemala to steal ID from someone to live in your society, which you died and bled for. You're doing that here, and you're trying to become rappers and football players and trying to talk like black people and do things like black people, even coming up with rap songs and stuff. In your country of origin, you have a hard way because your people are cowards. They didn't stand. And I'm not meaning this in a mean way. I mean, you have a hard way because there was no exchange. You have a disloyal government and there was no exchange. We also had the same thing in terms of the law as slaves, but we fought and we're still fighting. So don't you open your mouth against us because we are your bread and water while you're here. The reason you jump in fences to come to an established society. And now you're taking also the powers that be, you're taking their opportunity. And this is why the president's saying something. You've been taking black folks' opportunity. We just got used to it, and we friendly natured people throughout the fact that we suffered something and we don't really understand what America is in terms of self-preservation. We did, but we lost that, and we dropped the ball throughout our fear tactics, systematic fear tactics. Dr. King was assassinated. You're using him. Mexicans talking about a dream. You have a dream. What do you mean? You have a home too. Dream at home. Let us help you. We already give allowances to Madagascar and Guatemala. Your government is disloyal, and you need to fight your government, not come to someone else's home and try to push them over and take advantage and have your children run around saying that is yours. This is what's going on. This is a culture shock, and it's exploitation among a people that have not offended you one bit. This is our country. We built it. We're natives. This is our country. So I want to let you guys know that Mexican people, I'm not mad at you or mean to you. I just want you to know that you need to pipe down and have some respect for black people. And East Indians, you do too. In your gas stations and your children run around following black people like we got to steal something from you. If it wasn't for us, you wouldn't be here because we fought for you. A lot of black people did when Trump wanted to send all of you home. And some white people did too, that is Democrats and so forth. But I think that people should follow the rule of law because this country is very exploited. And it's a beautiful country. But you didn't build this country. You didn't die for it. And you wasn't here 400 years as the apparatus of free wealth, of free labor, the apparatus of wealth for a nation. You don't even know who we are. Don't be offensive. And stop trying to be rappers and football players and stuff and going inside our HBCUs. If you so much coming inside the community, having 9 children paired in our organizations, saying that you deserve something, getting home vouchers, food stamps. We're taking care of you guys with our tax dollars, sanctuary cities. I even saw Mexicans singing "We Shall Overcome" one time when Donald Trump had you scared. Speaking your own language. You're supposed to speak the English if you're here in this society. That's one of the things you have to know how to do, become a legal citizen. And a lot of you run around speaking your own language. That is sinister inside our society and our communities. And we don't have the enough astute mindset politically to understand what's really going on massively as black people. And we need to know that these people are partaking in trying to shove us away inside our home. And they are cowards because they're not trying to do it for themselves. It's like a baby. You're being a baby. You're whining and crying about what somebody else got instead of trying to make your own home better. And your children are over here being offensive. And they're very unhinged and they go unmanaged a lot. It's a culture shock. We haven't been corrected yet. And you guys are coming here pushing your way around as a very greedy people. And it's very rude. I'm going to speak truth to power. Very greedy. And you want more and more for someone else that someone else has. So don't ever compare me to a Mexican or even an Arab or a East Indian or anything that nature. You guys don't know how much we actually help you. We're your saving grace. We your mamas and your daddies. We your parents. Thank you for joining me.